You are now listening to the Friends of Rugby podcast. Relax your anus. Balls. Thick thighs. Camille Shat. Where's his neck? Eddie Jones. You're fucked, mate. We're nice now.
Worried that it's going to be too short?
No, I'm just saying if you wanted to be a longer episode.
Because we're recording. Hello, friends. You're listening to the Friends of Rugby.
Well, I wasn't that embarrassing anyway, so.
No.
You.
I just stealth start.
Okay.
I read it. I saw it on TikTok. Stealth starting your podcast.
It's not stealth starting. There's
It's
a
a
word
stealth
for it.
start.
There's a word for it. Soft entry.
A soft
intro.
Wouldn't that be a countdown?
No, soft intro is where you just start talking and someone hits record. I used to do it when I was making videos.
You just let them go and then
You just start chatting away.
Start it naturally?
And then when they don't even know, you've already hit record. And then they go, "Oh, we're recording?" I was like, "We've been recording for 20
that's
minutes."
not the reaction I wanted. You kind of ruined this.
Oh.
We should start the
How
podcast
did you want me to?
over
No,
again.
fuck you. Is that the reaction you wanted?
Well, friends, this weekend we've got a lot of drama.
Mm.
There's drama.
This is what we're good at.
The news.
Speculative,
Paparazzi type rugby shit.
tabloid journalism. Yeah.
The tea.
Yeah. The
Spilling
rugby
tea. I think one of our original titles
was rugby tea.
was the rugby tea.
Yeah. It was.
Yeah.
That which was actually like a very good contender, wasn't it?
It's shorter than the Friends of Rugby.
Yeah.
We've kind of fucked up.
I
there.
like Friends of Rugby. I really like it.
I like it too.
I prefer it to rugby tea a lot.
I
But
think we're gonna have to change the intro music.
why?
It's a little long. I think it's overdone its thing.
Okay.
We're gonna have to do something new.
No, we just
spunky
remix it. That's what everyone else does. When they get a budget, they remix their intro.
with our huge budget.
We're waiting for a budget. So someone asked me to do timestamps on a YouTube videos on a comment, and I was like, "Yeah, I'd love to."
No,
Fucking clue how to.
we're very amateur. This is probably very amateur.
Not just amateur.
Our equipment's not very amateur.
Our sound quality's unreal.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to my
We put
voice.
some money into it,
Some.
into our to play podcast.
You don't need a lot of money to sound this good,
No, you don't.
right?
It is a little it's a little archaic though. All these wires and cords. You think everything should be wireless in 2024?
Yeah, I watch a lot of YouTube people, and they don't seem to have as many wires as we do.
Yeah, we got a lot of wires
Yeah.
going on. So how have you been? Explain yourself. How's it going?
I'm good.
You look happy. I'm glad you're happy and
Thank
everything's
you.
going well in your life.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Anything?
I think I'm fine.
Good. That's good.
Personally, everything is good. Professionally, not so much. Yeah.
I'm doing good too.
Good.
So where do you want to start talking? What do you want? What kind of? We got a lot of.
Let's start at home. Let's start in Canada. That's what I've written down anyway.
You start in Canada?
I think so. Yeah. Tell me what you think.
So
Tell me the
Canada, the Canadian boys have a new head coach.
They do.
Steve Meehan.
That's right. Long overdue, would you say?
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
Like 5-6 years overdue.
Maybe longer, honestly.
I know a lot of people when they see this news,
Yeah.
they're gonna say the same thing. Who the fuck is this guy?
You know, that's a good
He
question.
is the what's that guy's name? The coach from England, the L. Bed.
Joel Abd.
Yeah, everyone's like, who the fuck is
Yeah,
that? Like,
yeah.
He is that of Canada.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, at least in Joel Abd situations, he's stepping into big shoes.
But he kind of came out of nowhere.
He did come out.
And he's
Well,
like, who the fuck is this
Maybe
guy?
he didn't. Maybe we just don't know French rugby that well. Maybe in the French
he came
rugby.
out of nowhere. There's a lot of people that had no idea.
I think it's a lot of English people who know fuck all
Yeah.
about French rugby, to be honest.
Yeah.
Anyway. But like, okay, so Joel Abd stepping into big shoes, right? Felix
Mhm.
Jones' shoes. Stephen Meehan is stepping into teeny tiny ballerina shoes here. So
Yes, the step in. The shoes are very different.
teeny tiny shoes to step into. So I think he'll. Do you know what's funny as well? When people are asking like, who the fuck is this guy? You always know if someone is a bit of an unknown, particularly in rugby, if their date on their date of birth on their Wikipedia is unknown. Like it's just like, could be 60, could be 65. That's exactly what it
He's
says in his
around.
Wikipedia. It says 57-58. It's like, that's how you know he's unknown. No one knows when he was
His
born.
birth date's not even.
Yeah.
No one knows anything about
Yeah.
him.
Did he have a fake identity for several years? Like,
So, what was your initial thoughts on this?
I had to search the guy. Like I'm a rugby nerd, but I'm not that much of a rugby nerd, you know.
I knew a little bit about him beforehand because he was hired as the coach of the Toronto Arrows.
Yeah, and me and you actually followed the Irish for a little while, didn't we?
Yeah, and they before he really got going, they got like the owner died.
Yeah.
And then the team collapsed.
So
we never got to see Steve do his Steve stuff.
Right, as a head coach.
Yeah, I was really liking that his name was Steve.
Yeah, it's good.
He does spell his name with a PH.
Don't you?
No.
Oh.
No.
Okay.
Which is like weird. If your name is Steve, and you spell your name with the PH, you're not allowed to call yourself Steve.
You have to be a Steep
or a Steph.
A Steph.
Yeah, you're not allowed to go by Steve.
Okay, fair. I have no problem with that.
Right.
I've got
it's just the rules.
I'll let you gatekeep
the
Stevens. I'll let you gatekeep the Steves.
I hated it when I was overseas, and I realized that Steve in like Australia, New Zealand, it's like an old man's name.
Kind of in the UK a bit as well.
Yeah, and I'm like, what do you mean it's an old man's name?
It's like being called Hank or something.
Yeah, or Howard or Doug or Gord.
Yeah.
And I was like, no. Steve's not
Steve's
in
a
that
young, cool guy name, I swear.
Like, it's not in that category. And it was.
Yeah, I'm called Frank, mate, so we're in the same boat here.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
Just shitty thanks,
yeah,
parents.
old white people names.
Yeah.
Not that we're fucking young.
Anyways, so what was your initial thoughts on Steve here? Steph?
Yeah, like you said, I think from what I do know, a little story for you. That when we first became friends, I'd moved to Canada and I didn't drive, and I met you at a Six Nations game where Wales absolutely fucking hammered Ireland to win the Grand Slam in 2018 or 19.
Mm-hmm.
And you were like, hey, do you want to come watch the Toronto Arrows in the MLR playoff? And I was like, fuck yeah, but I don't drive. And you were like, I'll pick you up from the train station to come and watch rugby. And I was
that's
like,
right.
do you remember that? So you picked me up at the train station.
I would have picked you up from like Calgary just to have a friend to watch rugby with. I would have drove to fucking Calgary. Oh, but I'm in Calgary. That's okay. I'll pick you up.
Yeah. I was happy to be used for my rugby enjoyment.
Yeah,
I needed friends.
Yeah, I was like, if there's a guy that like is nerdy about rugby like I am, I will go out for this person.
Yeah. I didn't realize at the time. I thought I was pushing my luck because I need friends badly. How far can I push this man? How far will he pick me up from? You know.
I need $20 for
yeah. Can you like feed me?
I guess so, man. It's worth it.
Yeah. So when we watched Toronto Arrows in the final of the MLR, and they lost to Seattle. And I remember thinking at the time, not only is MLR a thing and I'm excited for it, this Canadian team is also very fucking good.
Yeah.
Like, I was so excited for the whole thing. Everything, both things kind of petered out. Like, the MLR's going, but it's not what I quite wanted it to be. And definitely from a Canadian perspective, it's shitty. But the reason I'm interested in Steve Meehan is not only has he got a lot of experience with other significant clubs like Toulon, Western Force, but he actually he's Australian, but he knows Canadian rugby. He must know Canadian rugby to an extent, right? So a part of me is like, they could definitely get someone better. If they had more money, they would get someone better, but this seems like the best guy they can afford.
That's, I think for the bank, this is I think this is the best experience they can get for the money that they have.
Yeah, and I don't want to slight the guy, but they don't even know when he was born. 57, 58 years old. We don't know.
That's what I thought. It was a very safe choice.
Yeah.
And I think it was just kind of it's exactly what you're saying. Like when they're looking at the bank account and what they can afford, this is probably the best bang for their buck.
This is buying your teenage son his first vehicle.
Yes.
It's not you're not overspending. You're buying something solid and reliable and safe, So
the thing is that I think a lot of people were looking for a Maverick to come in and save Rugby Canada.
Yeah.
A coach isn't going to do that.
And a harsher truth, Canada has fallen too far for that to be. Canada is not attracting big names. Maybe 10 years ago, Canada could have attracted a Jamie Joseph if they could have afforded him. I don't know.
Yeah.
Could have. Because they think, Canada, have some pedigree. They get to World Cup quarterfinals.
There's just
it's
nothing
a challenge.
attractive.
They literally they've lost so much reputation now that they cannot expect even a B-list coaching name.
That Tyler Ardron article that came out a couple weeks ago, where he basically just trashes. He tells the truth about Rugby Canada.
Yeah, it's damning.
That it's just a fucking disaster.
Yeah.
He doesn't want any part of it.
Yeah.
that was a very big eye opener for a lot of people to see.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a lot of fans that were screaming it.
Yeah.
And now the international scene, also, like Squidge Rugby has been crying about this for a long time. He's been preaching about like the shitty like things that are going on in Rugby Canada for a long time.
You know, he's kind of like my Patronus. You know, he's a Welsh fan who's weirdly into Canadian rugby.
Yeah.
You know, I have a lot of parallels with this guy. When I shoot my Patronus at my wand, Squidge's face comes out. You know? So it's interesting because everything I'm interested in rugby, he understands it really well and just tells me what's up. You know, he's like, this is the... I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that, you know?
I just hope, like, he's got a challenge ahead of him.
Of course he does.
He has... basically zero feeder system, doesn't really have a real way to gather the best players together.
No.
He doesn't have a way to really have an impact on the best players.
Yeah.
Doesn't really have a feeder system to get any new good players.
Yeah.
It's
a massive uphill battle, isn't it? And that's the thing. Like, if it was, you know, you look at New Zealand and you think, okay, Razor coming in, he's the chosen one. They gave him a grace period, and there's a lot of coaches who get grace periods. He comes in with such little expectation that it's actually working against him in this case, because he could lose his first 2 games and go, we don't know who this guy is. You know, I'm talking about the general public. Fuck him. Let's get a different guy, you know? So he not only has to win some games, I don't mean every game, he has to win some games pretty quickly, but like you said, he literally has to sort out Canadian rugby infrastructure very quickly. And as we know, that's a hard thing to do, because we know guys who are kind of attached to the Canadian setup, and it is literally beer league guys who get a phone call. Are you in this part of Canada right now? Can you come to a training camp?
Especially not having any professional rugby here.
Yeah.
You can already see it paying dividends in the States.
Yes, you can.
Like the Americans were almost a different team.
Yep.
And I contribute that to the MLR.
Yep, definitely. Of course, it's going to be
down,
positive.
The MLR had an impact with these guys playing professional the whole time.
Yes.
And when you looked at their team, when you looked at Team USA going overseas, playing, first of all, I think they played 3 games.
Yeah.
Canada only played 2, I think.
Yeah, they did.
But when you looked at the difference of the teams, that whole USA setup was pretty much all professionals, full-time professional players. Canada was picking from universities, guys from beer leagues.
And they have a lot of professionals in their team now because these same guys play in the MLR. But what I noticed in the difference between the Americans and the Americans are just more accurate now because they're together in camp. Their set piece is not the strongest, but it's accurate, right? It works as it should. The scrum and the line out, everyone looks like they know what they're doing. There's less handling errors. Their attack, the attack structure looks practiced. Whereas in Canada, there's still so many handling errors, like wayward lineouts, people jumping at the wrong time.
I was trying to look into how many full-time professional Canadian rugby players there are playing right now in professional leagues around the world.
Yeah.
I was looking around. It was really hard to find. I found one site that compiled like a bunch of countries and how many players they had playing professionally.
Yeah.
It had Canada at 26.
Total number of players not ranked in the world. Like they have 26 players playing professional rugby in the world.
Yes.
That's less than a training squad, isn't it?
So I don't know if that was real.
It can't be far off, even if it's not 100% accurate.
But I would say they got those numbers from somewhere, and I would say that's kind of close to what it is. So it's like just 26 professional Canadian players. If that's real, like I would say there's might be a little bit more.
Yeah.
But I would say it's pretty close.
It is pretty close. I wouldn't be surprised if it sounds about right, you know? I wanted to talk as well about Lucas Rumble. Nothing dramatic about him, right? But he's a really good example of the situation Canada in. I really liked this guy when he played for the Arrows. I really like him now. I watched him play for Canada over the summer. And, like, he's not the biggest back rower.
No.
Comparatively, right? But he's still the shining star on the Canadian side. He actually scored a hell of a try against, I think it was Romania in the summer. And he's just kind of like the epitome of what Canada can do. A guy who literally would bleed for the Canadian jersey. He wants to play for Canada. He's really good. But if he was in any other tier 1 international setup, he wouldn't be on the bench. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. He's just not big enough to be, and he's not impactful enough.
He's kind of like a Michael Hooper type, like, you know how Michael Hooper was like not like the biggest guy,
right?
But he had a lot of heart.
He had so much heart, so much energy, and like Michael was genuinely world class, right?
Yeah.
But I see what you're saying. Like what this guy lacks in size, he makes up for in dedication, energy, skill, etc.
Mm-hmm.
But he just wouldn't get near. I don't think, and I don't want to slight the guys. I really like him as a player. I just don't think he would never get in an Ireland squad. He would never get in an England squad.
No, 100%. I was surprised with him that he never went, like a professional team didn't sign him.
Yeah,
like an outside, he didn't go to like a Dragons or
a Pro D Dirt or something, right?
He was never picked up in France somewhere. Like he's a very valuable player.
He is. He's incredible. He's a good leader. He's got so many qualities, but he's basically as good as Canada can produce right now, and it's good. But if you had a team of that guy and then you go up against Scotland, you're still losing, right? You'd lose valiantly, but you'd still lose. And like I feel like a dickhead for just having a go at him, right? Because I do like him a lot, but he's kind of the epitome of what Canada can produce. And it feels like, they had people like DTH Van der Merwe and Tyler Ardron, Jeff Hassler, that you look back at these guys who are like world class and you could maybe form a nucleus of a really good quality rugby team. And Canada doesn't produce guys like that anymore,
Yeah. This Meehan, like Steve Meehan, he's been in some very significant systems.
Yeah.
Same with the new CEO that came in 2021 or 2022.
Yeah, he was a big part of Glasgow, yeah.
Yeah. So these guys know, both these dudes know what it takes to be successful.
Yeah.
They've seen it firsthand.
Yeah.
I'm just wait and see.
Yeah, wait and see. Yeah.
But
yeah.
It was kind of anticlimactic.
It was a bit. I think that's what we're getting at, isn't it? We're like kind of reaching for some hot, juicy drama.
We're trying to.
Actually, what we wanted was someone we could all go, oh, I know who that guy is, and I know his reputation. Truth is, Canada fallen so far, we were only ever going to get an unknown, which is kind of sad.
Yeah, because there were some ex-Canadian players that were put around the mix that a lot of people want it, but when I was looking, I was like, these guys don't, like, some of them have drama behind them, whatever. Yeah. Others, like, these guys just don't have the resume that...
Yeah, this guy's coaching resume is as good as you're going to get.
The one person I thought that they would hire, and I kind of want it, was Phil Mack.
I don't know who that is.
So Phil Mack was a scrum half for Canada for a long time. He actually was the player coach for the Seattle Seahawks when they won the championship.
Okay. Yeah.
He was in the Canadian mix for a while.
Yeah.
He's been all over the place.
Oh, there he is. Yeah.
Yeah.
He actually has 59 appearances for Canada.
Yeah.
Over nearly a 10-year period. Okay.
He was good. He was really good.
Yeah. He played in some World Cups. He's 5'4".
Yeah, he's not a big guy.
No, but he's scrum halves, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's
a little taller than that because I've met him in person. He's not 5'4". He's probably about 5'6", 5'7". He's shorter than me. He was shorter than me, but he wasn't like too much shorter than me. Like he wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, like I see what you're saying. It's like there are definitely ex-professionals who you think, okay, they could make an impact, and Canadians
I definitely
know
think
them.
he'll be in this mix. He'll be in the mix.
Yeah. No, well, we know from Kingsley Jones's reign that there's only ever one coach.
There can be only one.
Yeah.
Are you good on this topic?
I am. I'm just looking at Phil Mackey. Yeah, also played for the Ospreys. You guys love playing for the Ospreys, don't you?
Yeah. See, those Welsh clubs love
they love a Canadian, don't they? They love a Canadian bargain guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, ooh, we can get this guy for nothing.
Yeah. That's funny.
So have you watched any of the Rugged Rugby on Netflix yet?
I told you earlier I don't have Netflix, but I'm excited for you to tell me about more scrum competitions.
Okay, so if you haven't watched Rugged Rugby on Netflix, I would tell you it's probably best if you don't watch it anymore or don't even pick
did it get weird?
It does.
Oh.
Okay, so I watched the first episode, the scrum episode.
Yeah.
It was all right. It was kind of weird.
Yeah.
How they did it. It was kind of weird how the team won because you had to keep scrumming and a fresh team would come on.
Yeah.
And then you would lose. And I'm like, oh, of course they're going to fucking lose because they just did like 9 scrums in a row and now they got to scrum a fresh professional team.
I think if you've never watched rugby before and you watch a scrum, you might think of it like an inverted tug of war. Two teams like pull in all their strength, and you can kind of almost like on a meter, you can see who's doing better. Like one scrum will go back, one will go forward. But we both know as soon as one scrum starts going backwards, it will collapse or wheel. It's not an equitable contest in terms of, like, you don't push a guy 25 meters back in a scrum ever, do you?
No.
Not really. So I don't think the Koreans understand that isn't how a scrum works.
But they were reffing the scrum the way the scrum is like. They're doing pretty good job there. It was pretty good, but it was just like the setup. But anyways, I started watching the second episode.
Yeah.
So basically, what they're doing is they're doing a bunch of rugby challenges.
Okay.
To set up who plays who in this like 4-game knockout stage, right? And every game has like a different kind of scenario. One is like heavy rain, one gets by, and there's 2 normal games.
Yeah.
And so they do the second challenge, and it's like a backs challenge.
Okay.
So I think there's 2 teams come up. 2 teams come up, and I think they get 5 players each.
Yeah.
And they have to run through this hallway.
Okay.
Grab this ball.
Yeah.
And the team that brings the ball back to the starting spot wins.
Right.
So you have this like sand area with this line where they start in.
Okay.
And then right outside that sand area is like steps and metal and shit like that. Then they got to run down this hallway that's like nothing there. It's just like this fucking floor and like...
What's the challenge? You're just running.
And then after you get to the hallway, it opens up to a full rugby pitch.
Okay.
At the end of the rugby pitch, on this like metal podium, they have a ball sitting on it.
Okay.
So the players got to run all the way down there, grab the ball, and then fight to get the ball back to where they started.
Oh, there's only one ball.
There's only one ball.
So you can tackle a guy.
There was no rules.
Oh, you could just like punch him.
You could pass it however you got it. You could pass it however you want.
Right.
You just had to get the ball back.
Sounds stupid.
Automatically, right? Bad idea.
That sounds stupid.
Especially with all. It was like if you and I decide and like 8 other guys decide to have a full on rugby match in this room.
That's how rugby started.
No, we'll leave the table here.
Yeah.
We'll leave the TV. We'll leave the lamps, the stuff, the decor on the walls. Yeah. We'll leave it, the lamp, fine. And then we had a full contact 10-on-10 rugby match in this room.
And one try line is the fireplace, and the other is the doorway.
Yeah,
or something.
and you have to like dive into the fireplace, like so. Immediate danger. Everywhere. So these guys are running, and first of all, they're sprinting to get to this ball that's on this like metal podium with these spiky edges on it.
Oh.
And I'm like, they're gonna dive because they're gonna like drive into this ball, like try to dive to get this ball.
Yeah.
So why don't they just put it on the ground? But everything has to be like a spectacle.
Yeah.
Then they start like trying to get this ball out, and they're just like fucking hammering each other. They're tackling and they're trying to ruck over each other. But
are they like really ripping aggressively and like punching the ball and stuff?
Yeah, and flying into each other and shit. And then they get into the hallway where like there's walls and like concrete, and they're smashing into each other. And then this one guy like almost hits his head on the stairs, and I'm like, oh my god! And then they do this for about like 20 minutes.
Yeah,
trying to get this ball back. And then after the first stage, the show is like, we have realized we need to change the rules.
3 men died during the filming.
It's not rugby. Like I was surprised when as soon as they brought that challenge up.
Yeah.
And none of the coaches were like, because I would have been like, as soon as I saw what they had to do, I was like, nope. It
sounds like they haven't actually spoken to anyone who's been a rugby player, because like any rugby player you asked to go, that's really stupid, and let me tell you why.
Yeah. No.
And here's how you could do it better.
There was no trial. They didn't test any of these trials. Nothing. You could tell that they just kind of came up with it in a boardroom.
Yeah.
And then just made it.
Yeah.
Because it was just so fucking dangerous.
Yeah.
And then they changed up the rules because they had to.
Yeah.
And I was just like, yeah, of course you got to change the rules.
I don't think I watched this show.
That's when I kind of lost interest.
Yeah, it just sounds
when I
silly.
realized it was just kind of like this. It wasn't rugby.
Yeah.
It was trying to make everything
Takeshi's Castle with rugby
and trying to like
with a rugby ball,
make it as extreme as possible.
Yeah, not into that.
Then we're gonna give you chainsaws. Yeah. We're gonna run with a chainsaw. Like I was like, okay, this is stupid.
Yeah, no,
like this isn't rugby. Like yeah. And then I had to stop watching it. But it was the most dangerous shit I've ever seen. And I was surprised the coaches didn't speak up right away.
Yeah,
because I was on my team.
Yeah, and
I had my players.
Yeah,
I would be like, no, absolutely not. You're not going out there and doing that.
When I worked in Japan, you didn't question the boss, and I wonder if there's a kind of similar thing going on in Korea where it's like whatever the boss, even if you're sat there going someone's going to fucking die, it's just not part of the culture to speak up against whatever the board has said, right? So I wonder if something like that's going on there.
Yeah, I guess so, because I would have, like, because they're just watching it. They're like, they're watching this shit. And I'm like, aren't you guys concerned?
Yeah.
Like, these guys are, and then there's a mix. They have 2 university teams, 4 professional teams, and then a military team.
Oh, wow.
Right? So it's a huge mix.
Yeah, of weight, age,
experience,
skill,
strength, age. So I was like, holy fuck, this is the most dangerous shit I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh wow, like that was a great. So, anyways, I stopped watching the show.
You know, in NHL, they have that all-star weekend where they have like skill challenges, and I actually really like it, and it's safe. I do think there's I mean, obviously these rugby players wouldn't want to do it because they're fucking getting their hides tanned every weekend playing regular games anyway. But I think there is definitely a niche somewhere to kind of advertise the sport. You know, you could have place kicking.
Well, the NFL does that.
They do. They do. Like, you know,
they have a skills competition.
Well, so does basketball, right? Like, they do.
They all have them.
And it's great, and it's a good fun. But I don't think it really would fit in the rugby kind of, we're traditional and we just play the sport. I don't think it would fit really in the scope of it. But I would watch that if it was done right, you know?
Rugby is just anything that works in another sport.
Yeah. Rugby
will fight it.
They will.
They will do everything they can. It's like Americans with the imperial system.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. They'd rather measure things in a duck's wingspan than use the fucking centimeters for 2 minutes.
Yeah, give me 2 thumbs and a half worth. Like, what? Like, they'll do anything.
And the weird thing is, they all know what you're talking about. Every time I read a fucking American recipe, it's like, use 2 cups of butter, 2 cups of flour. It's like, they're different weights. That doesn't work in a cup, you know? Like, anyway, nonsense.
It's like, but
yeah, there's some weird traditionalism in rugby.
Frustrating.
It's like we were watching Northampton Saracens earlier. Some guys have the name on the jersey, and most guys have the number. One guy doesn't have a number or a name. And it's like, come on, it's a professional sport. Like, I've been doing this for nearly 20 years. Like, get it fucking right. Like, just put the right number on, you know?
Yeah. But that was my rugby. I don't think it's worth a watch.
So
I give it
2 out of 10.
I give it a 2 out of 10.
Yeah.
2.5 thumbs down.
Oh, wow.
2 thumbs and 1 cup.
That's your worst ever review on this pod.
And 1 cup and half a teaspoon down.
And 3 duck wingspans up.
3 duck wingspans down.
Yeah. All right. We're going to talk about Stuart Lancaster. The naughty boy, Stuart Lancaster. Boy. Well, okay, so that was that. I was saying to you, what's that website? Ashley Madison.
Yeah.
He's at Racing. Things aren't going so well at home at Racing. So he sneaks onto Ashley Madison, makes an account. It's like, hey, Munster, heard you're having some trouble with you.
So the news, this has been going on for a week now.
Yeah.
The drama with him wanting out of Racing.
Why would you make it public? Like, who? Why would you make a statement about it?
There's been a lot of back and forth too, because I've even read articles that this is all rumors, none of it's true.
Oh, so it's not.
But
like...
then another rumor comes out, and another thing comes out, and another thing comes out.
Yeah.
But the one about him like snooping around Munster, he's just in Munster's bushes.
Yeah, he's in the parking lot by the skip. Like, you hear like a rustle, and who's fucking getting the flashlight out, and it's Stuart Lancaster.
Stuart, is that you? Oh, yeah. How's just going to the shops?
Yeah, I miss you.
In Ireland? Like, what the fuck are you doing? Oh, I just really like it here. You know, I just feel at home.
You were at Lancaster, you fucking idiot, not Munster. Oh yeah, wrong club.
Racing 92, like that club is a fucking like,
it's a merry-go-round of nonsense, isn't it?
It must be just the fucking Wild West.
Yeah, it's the Hollywood of rugby.
Because that's the one with the owner was calling Steve Khaleesi fat and shit, and like. Yeah, these French clubs.
Did you just call him Steve Khaleesi?
Did I call him Steve Khaleesi?
I don't know. It'd be funny. That'd be kind of funny.
Steve Khaleesi.
That'd be kind of funny.
I'm calling him Steve
Stevie Khaleesi.
Stevie Khaleesi. Because they are like the top 14 clubs. Like what the stories that come out of those clubs.
Yeah,
it is like the Wild West.
It is, isn't it? Yeah, it's
like stuff you hear about like the what's it called in that hockey league in Russia.
I don't know what it's called. Is it the KHL?
The KHL.
Yeah.
It's like KHL type shit. Like these, like the maverick fucking
people doing
owners.
Cocaine off a hooker's tits in a boardroom.
Yeah.
And going, sign Stevie Khaleesi. Who the fuck is that? You know, the fucking South African. Go get him.
It's just, I could see how, like, just the amount of drama, and then you just see some really good players go over, especially Race 92. Like, they go there.
Yeah, didn't they have Sexton for a bit, and then they had Finn Russell for a bit. They've had some.
They had Dan Carter for a while too.
Yeah, no, they've had a string of the best 10s in the world.
Yeah.
And then they had the South African World Cup winning captain. It used to be Toulon who was the drama boys, you know? Because Murad Boujilal, the owner, he would just, anytime anyone would have a sick day, he would publicly just shame them. It's like, fucking, this guy's had a cold for a week. Fuck this guy, you know? And now it's wrestling are like, no, fuck that. We're the drama boys, you know? So maybe Stuart Lancaster, who was an ex-PE teacher, maybe he just doesn't like the drama. He wants the peace and stability of Ireland back, you know? Because he was at Leinster for a while, wasn't he?
There's probably, because these owners are putting mad money into these into these teams.
Yeah, big money.
Big money's going in, and they want big money results.
Yeah, you would.
So I would assume that the pressure is hardcore at these clubs.
Yes, it must be. It must be, yeah. Because, like, as much as you can look at places like Toulon not getting the results they wanted with the star team they had, you can see that spending all your money on foreign signings doesn't work. I also expect it to work in the same way, because if I spend ridiculous money on the best players in the world, something good should happen.
Yes.
You know?
I agree with that. If you're spending the money, and good on them for putting, their bank accounts at risk.
Yeah. I guess so.
Guys. I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, it's kind of good for rugby. It gives us a bit of star status that we need.
And a standard.
Yeah.
Like,
we've got to have high
players are worth
standards.
this much.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Right? It shows the players around the world. It gives the players around the world something to look at. Like, if that guy's getting paid that much over there.
Yeah, I deserve
something around here.
Yeah, it's a weird one, isn't it? Because I don't like the money that's starting to dictate the way the results go in rugby, but at the same time, like, if we want to be a proper professional sport, you need that. You know?
You need the money.
Yeah,
the money circulating around. Like, and Stuart Lancaster's like his position at Leinster, like the atmosphere at Leinster is way different.
I think that's what maybe
because they're not obsessed over profit, like investment over profit.
They don't have to worry about money.
They got money flying at them from everywhere.
They're not going bankrupt anytime soon.
They're not going bankrupt anytime soon.
No.
Right? Half their team is like, their
more than
squad.
half the team is on professional contract, IRFU contracts.
Yeah. So the pressure must have been completely different.
Yes.
Right? So when you're going over race night 2, it's business time.
It is business time. Yeah.
We're gonna pay you, but so I would assume the pressure is immense, and it's probably not the best atmosphere.
Right.
Because it's hard for when I see that, when I see someone putting up, the problem is when people like when they throw money at something, they forget they want results, but they forget you also have to make an atmosphere to be productive. That's
right.
And
you have to build a culture. You can't just sign Steve Khaleesi and build a fucking, expect him to be amazing if the culture's bad or if you're not winning games, right?
If the environment's bad to be at, like you need to, you can't just have results. You have to have these people want to do this too.
Yeah, I agree.
Right? Because money does drive an employee. Yeah. Like, if you're going to pay me more money, but if I have to go to hell, like every day, like that's going to be unmotivating.
It is.
And even if I'm getting a big paycheck, like I'm gonna like it's still gonna fuck with me.
Isn't that why Khaleesi left? Didn't he say something about just the lifestyle and?
Oh, I never read anything about why he left.
Yeah,
but with all the articles around him, you can tell like it was
a motivator, wasn't it? Yeah.
Like, why did Finn Russell leave racing?
I don't know. A lot of guys go there for a season to make a lot of money in case they do have to retire because of injury.
It's not easy work in.
It's not easy work, is it? But like, I'll play every game in the season for $500,000 when I could be making half of that back home. So, I don't know. Stuart Lancaster, naughty boy, but
they
actually
still haven't called a coach at Munster yet.
No,
which I thought a little weird. I thought they would get into something. I thought they would announce something.
I think it's weird as well because it's like they've actually won a couple of reasonably difficult games recently without a coach. So I'm thinking
they've changed some things up. They've changed a lot of things up in the squad in that club right now.
Yeah,
I think they changed their fitness.
Yeah.
All their strength and conditioning shit.
Yeah.
They changed up their practicing.
Yeah.
Because there was some sort of correlation with Roundtree and injuries.
Oh, there was.
Yeah, so it's pretty evident that
actually, Munster have had a
like the
horrific luck with injuries.
His attritional practices.
Yeah,
I'm kind of thinking there's a speculation that he was like a punishing coach,
right?
That he would punish his teams,
yeah,
via practice.
Yeah, you drop the ball, you do 4 laps and 50 press ups kind of thing.
Yeah. So and then if they lost the game, he'd work them even harder.
Yeah.
And
that works for some people, doesn't it? But how much you do it and knowing when to stop and knowing what the right amount is important.
Yeah.
Isn't
So
it?
it's kind of, and like just the vast amount of injuries. So I think Roundtree was like just overworking them.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I didn't think of that.
Yeah, that was like I think I talked about that on a podcast a few weeks ago.
Yeah,
where I mentioned how there was a lot of stories about how Graham Roundtree was working these players fucking hard.
Yeah,
and there was a correlation between the injuries and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I'm surprised Munster hasn't.
Sounds like they're just sort of sorting things out in the background.
Who is do you know
who the interim head coach is? I don't know.
Is it the Prendergast guy?
Sam Prendergast, so good that they just decided
What's
to
on
make
your
him.
What's on your Googles there?
Munster Rugby interim head coach. I don't know.
Because I would like to know who. I think it's Prendergast, isn't it? Or is it
Chris Boyd? No, Ian Costello. Ian Costello.
And who the fuck's that?
Well, I thought you'd know.
No, I don't.
I thought, aren't Munster your team?
Shut up.
I know, it changes every week, doesn't it? I forgot.
I can like anyone.
I know, I can see that.
What else here we got on our main menu?
The big news for me, Nigel Walker, the CEO of the WRU, is gone. He resigned after a review.
He died.
He didn't die.
Oh, okay.
But Warren Gatland is staying. Yay. Discuss.
So Nigel Walker's gone.
Yep, he resigned.
He resigned.
So we hired a new kind of financial head, I don't know what the difference between a CEO and all that kind of bollocks is, but there's a lady called Abby Tierney who came from more of a corporate background. She's a very kind of money, numbers kind of person. I did have some faith in her. She did a review. The review got rid of Nigel Walker and it kept Warren Gatland. And they've said in a statement they challenge Warren Gatland to succeed in the 25 Six Nations. Mm-hmm. I've calmed down a bit now, and this is a decent outcome as far as I'm concerned. It's not the best situation, but it's as good as we can do, because I do think Nigel Walker had to go. He oversaw several scandals, and the writing was on the wall. I think he's a good dude, but there was no way but to resign. Like, he'd overseen like a harassment scandal, right? Like, you can't just stay there when that's going on. And then Gatland staying, people will talk about should he stay, should he go, till they go blue in the face. The truth is we can't afford to get rid of him. He's not going anywhere until the end of his fucking contract.
Or unless he
resigns, right? Yeah. And as much as I was angry at him, I don't blame him for not resigning. Why would you leave a job that pays you a lot of money, which, to be fair to him, he probably thinks he can turn it around. Mm-hmm. He probably thinks, and I believe he thinks this.
I think there's no one in the world that denies that.
No, and here's another thing. There are parallels with Canada. Our stock has fallen so far. People forget we were winning Grand Slams a couple of years ago, right?
With Warren Gatland.
And even when we had Wayne Pivac, he won us our first ever game in South Africa. He won us another Six Nations championship. We have fallen so fucking far that we're not in the conversation anymore. Do you know what's sad? The other day I was listening to Egg Chaser's YouTube, and he's doing his year review of each team, and they're quite good. And he didn't do Wales. And I'm sat there going, oh, that bastard. And then I realized he's doing teams outside the top 10. He's not doing teams outside the top 10. We're not relevant anymore. I could handle it when people taking the piss out of us for having off days. We're not in the conversation anymore. Our stock has fallen incredibly. And our stock rose under Gatland, and the circumstances he's been given are very difficult. So as much as I think if we had the money, we should get someone new, we can't afford to. And I genuinely believe Warren Gatland, he's not a lazy guy. He hasn't given up. He thinks he's doing the right thing. And he's literally capped a team of children. We're still the youngest Six Nations squad by far, So I still think we're going to be shit for a while, but there's no point changing anything now, right? We are where we are. We'll get better, but it's going to take some time, and we won't get back to where we were for 10 years.
The only thing is the thing I only have against Gatland is there's some players outside of Wales that should be being picked.
But he's got his hands tied in that situation because we've got a stupid cap rule, right? Yeah, he does. He does have his favourites, and he does.
He has a few guys he could be putting in the squad.
Yeah, I don't know why he doesn't play a lot of props, particularly like people like Nicky Smith, Dylan Lewis, Wyn
he
Jones.
Just fucking hates props.
Yeah, I know. And as a former hooker, maybe he just stood next to him for too long or something. But
it's like they just give you the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah, and he had a Reece Carey had a hell of a game for Saracens the other day, and I'm thinking like, he publicly shamed Reece Carey for being fat, basically, and no wonder Reece Carey was like, "Fuck this, I'm going," you know. So his man management, which used to be his strength, seems to have dropped off. And you've got people like Mike Phillips, our ex-scrum half on Twitter, just like mocking him publicly, being like, "You're on 600k a year, win some fucking games," kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's still a dumpster fire, but at least we have a stable dumpster fire now. We're not throwing gasoline on it anymore.
When I was looking at the stats for the URC, I was surprised how many Welsh guys or like the Welsh teams were at the top of some of the stats.
We regularly are.
There were surprising amount of a lot of the Welsh teams and Welsh players were in the top 10s or the top or on top of a lot of the stats in good ways.
And that's why I'm not worried. We will never not produce a lot of good rugby players. We'll be back in 10 years, but it will be 10 fucking years of misery, right? And Cardiff are in 5th now, right? With Cardiff are having a way, but and as much as Dragons are shite and Ospreys aren't performing, like, you know, we're still improving, and our attendance, especially at Cardiff, is really good. Like, I'm not worried about rugby in Wales as much as other people are. People are, it's dead. It's not. There's still thousands of people playing rugby every week for their local club, right? Much more so than in any other country.
Wales need a winning team.
That's right. We just need to remember how to win.
One of those teams like need to do something significant. Somewhere.
And here's the thing, though, right? That used to be what happened. Like, you'd have like a Cardiff winning the Challenge Cup a couple of years ago. You'd have Ospreys making the Champions Cup. I mean, it doesn't seem significant, but that confidence helps. But now the landscape has changed where no matter how good you are, the best teams just have depth. We're going to pull off some wins. We're going to make some playoffs, but we're not going to win a URC championship. We're not going to win a Champions or even a Challenge Cup until we get more money and depth. And that'll come, but it's going to be a long time. And everyone else is way ahead of us, you know? So I'm just kind of resigning myself to we're going to be a bit shit and mediocre for a while.
Yeah, you can go on and on what they need to do and stuff.
Yeah.
But they're definitely just to change the whole mindset around it.
Yeah.
Like a team, they don't even need to win the URC.
No, they don't.
They need to like make it to a semifinal or something. Like a Welsh team goes to a semifinal.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, if they made it to a final, that'd be even better.
Yeah. We're already statistically better than we were last season across the board, except the Dragons, right?
Yeah. So I just want, I think that would be just having some sort of success.
Yeah.
Because when it comes outside of derbies, like it's like, Wales got one win out of the 4, or if that.
Yeah.
Like it's very often where you just like, we come in on a Sunday to do our podcast, and Wales haven't, and no Welsh teams have won a game. Yeah. Unless they played each other. Yeah.
But even that isn't. I get what you're saying. Like, you know, the aggregate will be less Welsh teams won than lost on any given weekend, right? But I still look at the stats and I still see that Cardiff, Osprey, Scarlet are pulling off big wins. Right, they don't just beat each other in the Italians. Like they've each beaten a significant South African or Irish side this season. Right, so I know we can compete. We just need to be consistent. We need to have depth. All the boring rugby stuff, which like I said, will come.
Boring stuff.
But like in 10 years, I imagine like where will Leinster be in 10 years if they're still building now versus where will we be? Right? Does the gulf get wider? That's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Like if
they're not going to slow down and wait for us, right?
No one's slowing down.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel like Scotland is like I think they're only a few years to becoming in the same situation that Wales is in.
Yeah, they're unstable.
There's no future. There's no future coming in Scotland.
That's the thing.
Right? There's no future. Yeah. At least Wales has like young guys, promising guys coming up
all the time. Yeah.
Scotland doesn't have any, and they have a good squad now.
Yeah.
But some of them are aging out.
Yeah.
And they don't have nothing feeding behind them.
Yeah.
Italy's, I think, is always going to be Italy.
Well, Zebra about to fold, apparently. So.
Oh yeah, we'll talk about that too.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's just that's the thing. Like there is some other unions that are on the trajectory to go on the same thing as it's happening to Wales.
It's like I was talking about last week. Ireland, their system means they will never have ups and downs ever again, right? Because they just, because they've got the group ownership by the IRFU and they've got a constant supply of private school academy products, they'll never have a bad day at the office. And I mean, like, they'll lose some games and they might even have a rough season, but they're never going to be bottom of the URC, and any one of those provinces is ever going to be bottom of the URC, right?
Someone on YouTube really broke it down, like the whole how they changed rugby in Ireland.
Yeah.
And their whole strategic plan.
Yeah.
He breaks it down. It's like a half-hour video.
Yeah.
And like they basically just went to New Zealand and it's like, what's going on here?
What did you guys do? Yeah.
And they're looking at it and they're like, okay, this is what we need to be doing here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they started copying. They just started looking at all the most successful grassroots systems.
Yeah.
And they just started implementing and throwing money at that strategy.
Yeah, they invested in coaches. For me, the significant thing though is like New Zealand do, that the IRFU own their provinces. It means that if you have a financial crisis or if one team is really, really bad, you can just move stuff around. You can't do that in Wales or England, right?
Having a non-for-profit system too.
Yeah.
When you're basically putting all your resources back into your product.
Yeah.
It's a win-win situation.
It's dirty socialist commie nonsense.
It is. It's commie rugby, and
but it fucking hell does it work?
Yeah, because
really
you're just kind of you're not trying. You don't have shareholders, or you don't have. Well,
there's no
profits.
factionalism. That you're never going to argue because there's no one to argue with.
Mm-hmm.
If the IRFU want to move someone from Connacht to Leinster, it's as easy as doing that.
Though it's notorious, those kind of systems are notorious for becoming stagnant.
And I think if you ask a Connacht guy, which we may come on to. And apparently they receive 2 million less funding a year still than Leinster, because they were always the development side, but now I guess they're not, but they still get less funding. And there's different reasons for that aren't as simple as that. But long story short is, if you ask Mac Hansen how he thought about that Leinster-Connacht game on the weekend, he might not think it's a perfect system, right?
No, a lot of Irish people will judge that system hardly because they really, really favor Leinster.
Because what gives Leinster the right to be better than Munster, and Munster having historically a stronger showing in the early days of what was the Pro 12 and the Celtic League and the Champions Cup. And what gives Leinster the right to be the big dogs? And the answer is money, right? The answer is having a massive population with lots of business and lots of private schools that Munster don't have.
Yeah, because Irish rugby is they've tiered those teams.
But that's the thing. Connacht historically was deliberately tiered.
Mm-hmm.
The gap that's emerging between Leinster and Munster, that's not deliberate. That's
and
financial,
Ulster
right?
Too.
Yeah.
Because Ulster's in a kind of funny situation too. Because what's stopping them from like joining the Prem or something?
Oh, don't say that. Oh, I've never heard that said before. That gives me chills.
Because they, like, if you're gonna treat them like a tier, a second tier down.
Yeah, but that's the thing about the Irish system. They're not going anywhere. They're not allowed to leave. They're part of the Irish Rugby Football Union, right? They're not allowed to leave. I don't think they want to, but anyway. But with respect to Wales, and you were saying about Scotland and Italy, Scotland are smart. They know what they're working with, so they condense their resources, and obviously it works. So even if they don't have strong youth product coming through, they can always poach 10 South Africans, and it works for them. I don't care, whatever, it's fine. The Italians, whatever. But
Z-Break being sold.
Yeah, I've heard it's not as dramatic as that. I've heard they're just moving. Like some other guy just bought the franchise and he's moving him to a different part of Italy.
I think they have a potential buyer.
Yeah.
There's like a potential person that might be interested.
Yeah.
At this moment.
Yeah.
But they are definitely 100% not going to be in the URC next year.
Really?
Yeah, they will be stopping operations.
Oh, wow.
So that's for sure. They are for sale.
Okay.
So they're looking for an investor. I don't know if they'll find one.
It sounds to me like they're just basically moving to a different city, getting a different owner. They're just not Zebra, but they're Zebra. It's the same team. That's what I heard.
Because I was surprised that there's no team in Rome.
Yeah.
Like a rugby team in Rome. I thought there would be...
I just don't think... I thought that a while ago, and then I read a bit about it, and it's just that rugby's a big sport in northern Italy, and that's about it. It's just not on people's radar in the big cities.
But when they play their Six Nations games...
Yeah, but that's different, isn't it? Like that's the national team, and you need a big international stadium and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's a bit different kind of. And even then, you watch some Six Nation games in the Stadio Olimpico, it's not full.
I wonder how that's going to affect Benetton after Zebre folds.
I don't think anything changes.
Because right now, I don't see them finding an investor. I don't see them having a team next year. So there's going to be so the best of the Zebre players are probably going to go to Benetton.
And we saw what happened in the Gallagher Prem with that, didn't we?
So I was wondering if this is going to be a positive for Benetton.
Could be. I don't think the Zebra players are losing their jobs.
Because basically, Benetton, if it's just Benetton there, they're basically going to be
the Italian team.
The Italian team.
And they're not far off already.
And we've seen how that kind of worked with the Jaguares.
Yeah.
And
it wasn't a bad thing, was it?
No.
The Drua, similarly.
Yes, the Drua.
It wasn't a bad thing.
No.
Yeah.
They became really competitive.
They did. And that's actually kind of what's happening in Scotland. Since they've kind of condensed their resources, we're seeing a really strong Glasgow. That's the most, Glasgow winning the URC. That's the biggest thing that's happened to Scottish rugby since the last time Glasgow won it. But that was a long time ago, though, right? That was, 2016 or something. It's nearly 10 years ago. That's the biggest thing that's happened in Scottish rugby for a while. So if Italy can replicate that, that's awesome, right?
I would like them to have more teams.
I think we could do with less teams.
I'd like to have more Italian teams.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah.
Italian teams.
If we're going to stick with this nonsense format anyway,
we're going to.
Yeah, I know.
I read a thing the other day. Over half the revenue in the URC
comes from South Africa.
Yeah. They staying.
And
those motherfuckers are staying.
They are, but next year they get a seat on the board, so you can't even get rid of them next year.
No, they're going to be they are part of it. Like when I read that, I was like, "Oh, that's why."
Yeah.
I was like, "They fucking doing everything. That money's coming in from them."
Yeah. The gravy train
I was
is
like,
here,
"Holy
boys."
shit, over half the revenue is coming from those 4 teams."
Yeah. And they've got teams like the Cheetahs in the Challenge Cup. You've got to imagine those guys want part of the pie, right?
Well, they have more people. So they have just more eyes and more people spend more purchasing power. Like they just have more people spending money on it.
They have the most registered rugby players in the world, South Africa, don't they?
Yeah, it was like 1 million or something.
Yeah. So and it's a big fucking country, right? Makes sense. So I could see long term, maybe give it 20 years. You could have 6 South African teams.
Mm-hmm.
You could have, in a very utopian world, you could have 4 Italian teams, 4 Scottish teams. So in a distant future, you might have like the Italian South African Conference and the Celtic Conference, like NHL has. That'd be kind of cool. I mean, in back of my mind, I'm screaming, "This is awful! Make it stop!" But
inevitably in the future, that the Prem and the URC are going to join
to make a Super League.
There's just too much talk. There's just too much.
Who are these guys who keep talking about it, keep bringing it up? And then there's always some fucker in there who's like, "You Welsh bastard, you can leave." We didn't say anything. Like, leave us alone. Like, we're just.
They're in the same building.
Yeah.
The 2 headquarters are in the same fucking building.
Yeah.
Like it's definitely happening. It's just inevitable.
Yeah.
It just makes sense.
Yeah.
For what's the Prem doing? They're just like this thing that's there. Like they're just like, what are you doing?
You can't say that though, because that's the home of not just English rugby, of rugby.
Yeah. They
invented that fucking sport. They should, with the population and economy of that country, they should have their own domestic professional league forever. They should, and they do.
It just I don't like how everything's separated. There's just different brands.
That's just because you're an American.
It just should be like one thing. It'd be a lot easier.
You just don't get it.
I know.
You got to have tiny little countries that hate each other. That's the way forward.
In different leagues.
And then they meet each other once a year, and it's amazing. And everyone hates it, and all the fans are frothing at the mouth.
What do I know about successful sports?
Exactly. Just shut the fuck up. You don't understand. I need to take a train over to England to get battered, Anyway, so I think we were talking about Walker, Gatlin staying, whatever. Who fucking cares? Before we talk about the results for the weekend quickly, I just want to mention the Celtic Challenge. Women's Celtic rugby is back, and I'm into it, and that's all I've got to say.
Did you watch any game?
You mind your goddamn business. No, they haven't started yet.
Oh, they haven't started yet?
No. Well, the Welsh derbies haven't, which is what I was going to watch.
Oh.
full disclosure, I've no idea how to watch it. I've tried. Like, I don't even know if they put a camera on the field.
Last time, I think Rugby Pass TV was carrying the games.
They were, but not all of them.
I've seen a couple of the games on YouTube.
Yeah. After they've played. Yeah.
Yeah. No, they'll play them live.
Right. If you find out how to watch them, someone who's listening.
It's definitely on Rugby Pass TV.
Yeah. Yeah. So, anyway, they haven't quite started yet.
Because someone did make a comment on somewhere telling us that it was on Rugby Pass TV. And it was.
Okay,
so
that's
I'm
good to know.
assuming this year is going to be on Rugby Pass TV also.
Yeah, I hope so. Anyway, I'm excited for it if I can watch a game.
Yeah,
which start next week.
I'll ask you. You can be our
Celtic Challenge correspondent.
Yes,
in the
Celtic
field.
Challenge correspondent.
Celtic Challenge correspondent.
I didn't watch any of the games.
I don't know how.
How did it go?
I tell you the results. Yeah.
Do you want to go over the results of the URC
let's go
games?
URC derbies and we'll finish with that.
The URC derbies.
You know what a derby is now, don't you?
Yes, I know what a derby is.
All right. Well, you were asking last time.
No, I wasn't.
You were.
Maybe a long time ago.
At
derby.
some point in my life, you were like, "What the fuck is a derby?" And I was like,
I use that term now for like when the Oilers play Calgary.
It is that
shit,
exactly.
And people are like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah. What do you say? What do you say here?
We don't have a word for it.
You don't have a word
like
for
a
that.
rival match.
A rivalry, you might call it. Yeah.
Just like that. It just there's no term.
Right.
Like when teams
the two local clubs
play each other
with the strong rivalry.
Yeah. Also, there's no really local clubs.
No, because you got to drive 3 hours to get to the next fucking gas station,
right?
Here, don't you?
So there's no real derbies to be happening.
Yeah.
Like I think California is the only real place where you can have
There's multiple large sports teams.
Yeah, you got 10 professional sports teams in the same league within a couple hours of each other.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it doesn't work here. It's too big, isn't it? Ulster, Munster.
Munster beat them.
They did. Without a proper head coach.
No.
Poor Ulster. What are they going to do?
Who's coach?
What's
going on there? Yeah, they're in a bad situation. This game is pretty close all the way to the end.
It was. Ulster could have won that game. Yeah, Ulster could have won that game. Sorry, what
were you going to say?
I just think Munster never lose the steely edge. Munster are kind of like the Saracens of the URC. I never write them off. They could have a million injuries. They lost their last 4 games. They'll be up against a really big team, and they'll pull it out. Right? They are a hard team. They are a hard bastard team to beat. You know.
They are also a very inconsistent team too.
They are inconsistent, and that's the thing. Maybe if you looked at it from a different perspective of what I'm saying, you'd say actually they should be winning.
Because they beat some teams. You're like, yeah, they look fucking awesome, and then when they step up to the good teams, then you can see the difference.
Yeah, that's true as well. So they are Ulster, fucking hell, I don't know. Ulster feel like Cardiff last year, where they a million losing bonus points, you know, just about losing to everybody.
Zebra Benetton 11-10.
Yeah, well, Benetton nilled them recently, didn't they? So at least Zebra got out of bed for this.
They're mad. They're all losing their jobs.
Yeah.
So they're going all out now. Like, fuck it. We need now because these players are like, fuck, we need jobs.
Yeah. We
need jobs now. They got to play their hearts out to get this. To get this shit going.
Yeah, they do.
Okay. Where were we here?
Take 2. Stormers Lions.
Stormers Lions.
I think we predicted a Stormers win, didn't we?
I don't think we did any predictions for this weekend.
We did.
Did we? I don't remember that.
What?
No.
We did.
Stormers Lions?
We predicted it. Can't remember what we predicted. Stormers getting off the radar a bit, getting better every game.
And Lions
getting worse every game.
Yeah. They were the hot team at the beginning of the URC. Everyone's like, oh, they're undefeated.
Yeah.
But I remember how we were talking I don't really believe it.
Yeah.
Look who they've beaten.
Because they were shit season before.
Yeah.
And that was the thing, I wonder if, because that's the thing, people get really excited. I think it was probably 3 games in. It's undefeated. Undefeated doesn't mean fuck all if you're a 3-game winning streak is cool, but it's nothing that impressive, is it? So yeah, maybe the Lions aren't as good as everyone thought. I know the Stormers squad, once everyone's back and fit, that's a hell of a squad, so.
There was a fucking nasty red card in this game.
There was. It was grim, wasn't it? Yeah.
That guy fucking just launching himself.
Yeah. There was
it was Manny Labaki hit, right?
Yeah.
In the head?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just fucking smashed him.
Yeah.
I was just like, this is obviously basically pretty similar to what Geordie did.
Yeah, on Naki.
Yeah.
In the Connacht Leinster game. Yeah,
Not
it was.
as violent though. This was like a straight like assassination attempt.
Yeah, it was one of those ones where it is a straight red and not a bunker for me. You know what I mean? Yeah, there was we got to talk about the breakdown at some point as well, because I have seen some stuff recently where people just fucking diving, off their feet, fly into it like fucking Superman with their arms outstretched straight at someone's neck. And these are big guys, And I know what they've done is they've taken every other thing you can do in the breakdown out so that you can only come through the gate in this way. And it's not a loophole, but the way people choose to do that is fast and hard.
Because you're technically supposed to... What was I going to say?
You're supposed to be on your feet. Well, if you're off your feet when you fly in, they'll penalize you.
There's something going... There's like a miscommunication with the ruck.
Yeah.
That's making it... Like the way it's being ruled, the way it's being reffed, it's turning it into this like it's not a very competitive spot anymore.
No, it's not. It's not. I remember the days of Sam Warburton, like he was like a fucking limpet on the ball, and people would be trying to grab his leg, people were trying to croc on. He didn't move, but now they've taken all that out. People just fucking kamikaze themselves into the guy's neck, And
it's also, I think maybe the jackal has ruined. It's just like it's not often you see someone ruck over.
No.
Win a ruck by rucking over.
No, it's just because it feels too fucking dangerous now.
It's that, and also, I don't know. I think it's the rules too. When there's someone like they're trying to the rules in the ruck, they're trying to save the jackler too.
Yeah.
They're trying to protect the jackler a little bit
because it should be competitive in there, right?
Yeah, because they call the ruck one really fast.
They do
in rugby now.
Yeah.
You don't see people compete at the ruck anymore.
I mean, you do. It just feels like the timing is a lot tighter.
It's almost like if the only way to steal the ball was to ruck over,
it's never gonna get turned over ever again, sort of thing.
That's the thing, right?
Yeah.
Because you're not gonna want to send all those players into a ruck.
Yeah, and you want guys in the defense. Yeah, the game is changing, but. And the game will always change and evolve, but I do think right now it's particularly dangerous to be jackling, because I've seen some clear outs which are just fucking brutal.
It always has.
And it's always been dangerous, but right now people are like...
It's the most dangerous move in rugby.
It's horrific, isn't it? Just exposing your neck and head.
Yeah, you had to get to put your head down like a fucking ostrich.
So a 200-pound man just flying at you, at your head, with his shoulder. Yeah, it's fucked. Yeah. That's what we're saying about that game.
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah.
Sharks, Bulls.
Yeah, I think I can't remember what I called, but a close game.
Sharks, Bulls almost had it. They almost had this one.
They did. I think Sharks Leinster are gonna win the USC. One of those two.
One of these two teams are definitely winning.
I think so, and Bulls are very good as well. Sharks, if they keep their whole squad fit, they're gonna win those kind of games every time. I think So.
Ospreys, Scarlets, 23-22.
Hey, I watched this game.
And you were like, yeah.
Welsh rugby. Yeah, I mean, Toby Booth's leaving. And so Mark Jones, his new head coach, he coached the Crusaders for a little bit. Mm-hmm. He's actually really good. So people are, you asked me, is Toby Booth leaving a big deal? Yeah, it's a big deal because he was very good. But he left. I think everyone is very happy with the way he left. He's gave people plenty of notice. He put the right guys in place.
Very walking off into the sunset, kind of like.
Yeah, and you think, what is he walking off from? What's he achieved? But actually, if you look at the state of Welsh rugby, he's kept the Ospreys competitive for a number of seasons, and he's brought in some really good young talent. So this is a good win for the Ospreys. Although I was watching that game, Scarlets basically had that game won until the 82nd minute or something, where the Ospreys scored a try. So what else to say? It was a good game.
Leinster.
Now this was the spiciest game of the weekend. Yeah. I saw
Mac Hansen mad.
Geordie Parrott getting off the hook.
Geordie Parrott?
Geordie Parrott and Steve Khaleesi, famous rugby players. Yeah, he was pissed off. I was watching this game and I was thinking, yeah, I do see the Leinster reffing bias. I've seen worse examples of reffing bias. I just think it's kind of just come to a head where it feels like Leinster just get the rub of the green every week and Connacht get shat on by the ref every week, and Mac Hansen had just had a fucking enough of it. Because Aki, the clear out on Aki by Geordie the Parrot was like,
Geordie the Parrot.
It was a bit like, how did you fucking miss that? And you saw a bunch of other stuff, that Connacht did. So.
Yeah, it was pretty shocked. When I saw it with a video of it, I was like, okay, that obviously is a fucking red card.
It's a red card. It was a red card, yeah, 100%. And like, does it make a difference to the result? I don't know, but it was close enough in the earlier stages of that game. It was close enough. When Connacht scored their 2 tries and kind of felt like they were getting back into it, it was like they could have won if they'd kept that momentum up. Although Leinster's defense is fucking incredible. It's hard to break them down, isn't it? So
they're just a good club all the way around.
They're just, everything they do is good.
Do you want to talk about Sam Prendergast? Just in general? He didn't play in this game.
No, he didn't play. Thank
Do you want to talk about him?
Actually, the game I watched, I was excited to have an opinion about him that wasn't just me being like, can we all just stop talking about Sam fucking Prendergast?
I just want you to admit on air, on recorded, you just hate Prendergast because he's from Leinster.
No, there's definitely an element of that.
Yeah, there is.
Let me say the thing. I'm agreeing with you. And you're like, no. Like, I'll agree with you if you want. I think it's probably about 20% of it. Yeah, I'm just jealous that.
I was like, if he was from anywhere else, you would be agreeing with me on everything I said.
I've not say a thing that I disagree with you about him.
He's the best 10 in Ireland.
Okay, no, I disagree with that. I think it's Jack Crowley.
I think he's the best 10 in the Northern Hemisphere right now.
Obviously, I disagree with that. Yeah, because he hasn't proved anything yet. So, yeah, obviously I disagree with that. Say another thing. Say another thing.
I think that's it. He's going to be on the Lions tour.
Oh, okay. I agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, actually, no, I don't, because I don't think he is versatile enough to be the quote-unquote training panelist bolter.
I think he is.
I think it'll be Marcus Smith, Finn Russell.
And him.
And actually...
Owen Farrell.
Kieran Frawley. Because Kieran Frawley can cover 10 and fullback pretty well.
Ooh, that's a good call.
So I
think they'll take fucking what's his name from the Saracens for that. Elliot Daly. He will fucking make it
with a steel chair,
hands down. Yeah. Like, he's on the Lions tour.
Oh yeah,
110%.
For the next 50 years, he's on the Lions tour.
This motherfucker will get there. Any kind of team, like, oh, he's free.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, put him in.
Yeah. He's the Swiss Army knife of rugby players.
Elliot Daly.
He'll fill in up prop if you want him to.
That motherfucker is going to be on the Lions too.
That guy has a boot as well. He'll fucking kick a penalty from inside his own half every day of the week.
Yeah, that's why they like him too.
That's why they like him, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I can't see Sam Prendergast being on a Lions tour, no.
I think we're going to...
Barring injury.
He's my shock call.
Barring injury. If Marcus Smith is injured, I could see it.
Because right now I think Finn Russell and Marcus Smith are in the top contention for the 10s.
100%. Yeah, or Jack Crowley, one of those
and
three.
And then I think they're going to bring 3 10s. I think Owen Farrell's definitely in there.
Well, you're kind of arguing against yourself then, because you're making less room for your wonder kid.
I think one of those guys, Andy Farrell's going to make a shot call. He's going to take Sam Prendergast over
Crowley.
He's going to take him. Well, Crowley's not going to. I don't think Crowley's going to go.
Okay.
I think he's going to call. I think he's going to pick. This is nuts.
I know you're going to say something that's really going to annoy me now.
Yeah, he's going to pick Sam over Finn Russell.
That's the most ridiculous thing you've ever said. Do you know how ridiculous that sounds?
I know. That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
You drank the fucking...
juice.
You've drank the fucking...
Leinster juice.
The Leinster Kool-Aid.
I don't even like Leinster.
It's just... How could you say that? I'm upset you've said that. How could you say that with a straight face?
He's surprisingly, he's a special
talent. He's played
talent.
9 minutes of rugby in his life.
Just wait. And it's all up to this. If he does his rock star shit in this Six Nations,
right?
You're gonna see.
That's a strong if.
Yeah.
That's the biggest if of all time, though.
It is the big if.
Because he hasn't done
That's what I do. This is fun. I'm just making some big calls.
Oh, me too. Behind the mask, I'm having a laugh. I'm having a laugh behind the mask.
I'm playing podcasts. With my buddy.
Yeah.
Right. And if Sam Prendergast...
If Finn Russell was in this room right now, sat in that chair, and you said to him with a straight face, we're going to pick an untested child over you, the greatest 10 the Scottish rugby's ever produced.
If Sam Prendergast has a good Six Nations...
Yeah. Well, they'll have picked the Lions squad
because he brings a lot
of
what Finn Russell brings too.
Yeah, but Finn Russell's been bringing it for years. We know he can bring it.
Mm-hmm.
Sam Prendergast has one bad game from never playing for Leinster again.
You'll see.
We'll see.
Man, if he does pick him, fuck.
Yeah.
I'm talking shit.
Maybe
I'm talking some shit.
The poor Burns boys, eh? They go home to their mothers for tea, and then
no one talks about that.
No. How was school today, my Burns boys? This new kid, Sam, came in, and he's really good. I'll call Andy. Don't worry, I'll have a word.
Last game of the weekend, Glasgow pounded Edinburgh.
Sione Tuipulotu said, "My brother is a sideshow." No, he's the mate. He's a side quest, not the main event. As if to say, stop talking about me and my brother playing. I'm here to fucking fuck up Edinburgh.
Does his brother play for Edinburgh?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Some rivalry.
Yeah.
Bantering with the younger brother.
Yeah. I love how every time Glasgow and Edinburgh play each other, they act like it's going to be close. And everyone's like, oh yeah, Glasgow by a point. Like, no, shut up. Glasgow are another fucking league.
Edinburgh should be better for their squad.
And they do have moments of good.
Yeah.
But they're a bit like Munster, actually.
They are kind of like, it is very, their squad, you look at them on paper and you're like, oh, they should be a really good team.
Yeah.
And then they just lose some games or don't perform the way you think.
Yeah.
Like this game shouldn't be 33-14.
It shouldn't. I mean, we know who Glasgow and Edinburgh are, so we're not surprised. But you're right. If you just look at those two sheets of paper of the team sheets and go, what's going to happen?
That's not the scoreline that should have happened in that game.
It's not. That's
the scoreline that should have happened in the Leinster Connacht game.
Yes.
Not the Glasgow Edinburgh game.
I agree. Yeah. I don't know what else to say about like Glasgow. I love writing them off, but I'll never write them off against Edinburgh. You know, not with the current situations going on. So.
But that should be in reality, like just on paper, it should be harder to call.
It should be. Yeah, we know what's going on.
The last round 8 is on Thursday.
Yeah.
Dragons Cardiff, round 8 still.
Do you know why?
No.
Okay, so we have a tradition.
Oh, it's a tradition.
Yeah. I'm not going to tell you now. Fuck off. Stop recording.
No, you tell me.
Oh, okay. Let's just stick to my guns. Yeah, so we do New Year's Day and Boxing Day fixtures like we've always done them.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's nice.
It is nice. So you go out on Boxing Day, you go out on New Year's Day and watch a bit of rugby.
That'd be cool.
South Africa came along and ruined it.
South Africa ruined it.
No, they didn't.
Well, friends, I think we talked about everything we were going to talk about.
No, you think we talked about a lot?
We talked about a lot. We went through a lot of things. You were worried this was going to be a short one.
I wasn't I? I think we've got a lot of mileage out of Steve Meehan, to be fair. Someone we don't even know his age. We're getting fucking mileage out of this guy.
We did. Well, friends, like and share the podcast.
Yes.
Find us on YouTube. Find us on Blue Sky.
Yes. You could say Merry Christmas if you want.
Merry Christmas. It's Christmas time.
Yeah.
And
hold your loved ones close.
Have fun with Boxing Day, Cardiff and Dragons.
Who's going to win? Nobody knows.
Game of the year.
Do you know, actually, it's funny because I don't fucking know. Because Dragons love ruining the party for other Welsh teams.
Yeah.
It's like, can you just leave us be? We're in 4th place in the league. Yeah. And Dragons are like, today's the day, boys.
Yeah, let's go. We really
Do you know who we beat this year? Newcastle. Just licking their lips.
Have a good one, friends.
Okay, see